Why did Hansie Cronje do what he did along with Herschel Gibbs?
I think the sad thing for me is that, and it was very evident in our sort of first-class career. So before the days of international cricket, Hansie and I were at university. So we're in different states, different cities, but at the same age group. So we played against each other and in the same teams from age 13, and had got on really, really well. And he was the only cricketer in my generation for the first sort of 10, 15 years that I played first-class cricket into South Africa, that read the entire newspaper, not just the back page, especially when you've done well. The first thing you do is you open the hotel door, you go get the newspaper and read all about yourself. It's a wonderful feeling. You don't touch the paper if you fail. But Hansie was really interested in the markets. I mean, from a share point of view, the share prices. And it was pre-IPL, so the guys weren't making any money. Not much money, so not any money. But nowadays, some of the cricket teams, through the players' associations, have agreements with the cricket boards where they get a share in cricket income. So anything from advertising to gates to television rights. Whereas in those days, you got your salary and that was it. There was no negotiations. And Hansie, even before playing for South Africa, his mother was an estate agent. And in the small town that he was, there was quite a good, strong universities and very strong school systems. And he got my salary for first-class cricket, my first year, was $300. And Hansie got the same for his state team. It was kind of the lowest that you would get. But with his $300, he put down, with the help of his parents, but who didn't have a great deal of money, he purchased 3 homes on a bond and got the university students to pay off. So by the end of his university career, he actually owned 3 properties, which none of us were even thinking about. So he was driven by money, very sadly. And he was open about it, and not just up to the match fixing before it. I mean, he was really focused on how much money. As an athlete, he was eating at McDonald's every night in the UK, because to go out and you get a decent meal would cost you 30 quid. And that was like my laundry meal, my laundry allowance. You know, you blow it on one dinner out. So he would go and eat the cheapest meal that he could and save as much cash as possible to take it back to South Africa. So he was sadly someone driven by money. And when he first got involved with the bookmakers, the bookies asked him for information, which he was giving. The same information he was giving to the journalist at a pre-game press conference. What do you think is a good score? Have you seen the wicket? Are there any players that you're concerned about? So Hansie justified what he was doing, was that he wasn't losing the game. It wasn't match fixing, because for us match fixing was getting bowled. There's that team again, I'm not going to talk about them. Getting beaten by Bangladesh in the 1999 World Cup with 3 run-outs. Okay, 2 of them involved Inzamam, which we know he's good for 2. Somebody else and then himself. Generally, Alu. There was a 3rd run-out, which was then a bit suspect. I mean, and 2 or 3 very easy dismissals. So we were all going, okay, so if Hansie's accused of match fixing, what is that? We're the #1 team in the world. We're not losing many games at all. So unfortunately, he justified it because he was giving the press the same information that he was giving the bookies. The bookies then said, hey Hansie, you're actually costing us money. We need a guaranteed result. Not the end result, but spot fixing obviously was someone to underperform in their particular field. So Herschel Gibbs was the one who was supposed to score less than 20, I think, was the case, as an opening batsman.
Did you ever get suspicious that there was something going around in the dressing room, or was it very close?
No, I mean, the amazing thing was, it was during the tour of India. So, you know, you spend a lot of time as a team together in your team room. So whether it's preparing the meals, the physiotherapists on the team rooms, television, board games, playing cards. And the thing for Hansie was that I actually had my first daughter way back in 2000. She was born during that tour. And my wife at the time, she said I must apply for paternity leave, which just wasn't something that happened ever to anybody. Cricket board said I could have 4 days off, because it was a cesarean, so we knew the date. It was going to be a C-section. And she said, no, you got to cancel the tour to India. I said, well, that could jeopardize my career. There was no discussion, apparently. So I stayed at home for the entire 2 months. So when Hansie was then accused by the Indian police saying that they've got telephone conversations, I was in South Africa, I wasn't there. But my teammate said he would come into the dressing room, and he was quite a joker. I mean, even though he was serious and a great speaker, he was quite a prankster in the team. And he would say, anybody want to earn a couple $1,000s? And they really thought he was joking. So, you know, no one took him seriously.
Took him seriously.
Sadly, Herschel Gibbs did. So it was a case of, you know, I wasn't there, I didn't see it. When people asked me, I said, don't be stupid. This guy's the most committed, dedicated. We used to train with an international 1500-meter runner, just to be the fittest guy in world cricket.
Do you thank your stars? Do you thank God Almighty that your wife, your ex-wife, forced you to take that paternity leave and you were not part of that team? And you didn't tour those 2 months where it all unfolded?
And don't you know, yeah, there's two sides to that story, because I am grateful.
Because I'm going to put a comma there and ask you this too, because it's the same ex-wife who told you to quit at the peak of your career. There's 2 years when you're averaging 50 and you're doing your best, is when she said call time on your career.
The reason why I'm grateful that I wasn't there, because they had an inquiry and a commission into this match fixing. The sad thing for me is that if, as a good friend of Hansi, if I had been there, and I mean, my parents are both teachers, so, you know, not just a father who was a PT teacher and then the head of department and the headmaster for 20 years, which is why I have quite a well-developed backside, because it was like a built-in cushion. Because in those days, the headmasters were like, they had a cane, like not a big latte like the cops have here, but a small, very flexy, whippy cane. And I mean, the amazing thing was that, the funny thing to get back to, it was my father, as a cricket player, I'm very fortunate that my father was a sports coach in many ways. And the one thing he said, you know, Jonty, people will tell you your entire career, whether it's coaches or teachers, that practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. And he said, I hate to tell you, it's only half the story. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. So you've got to practice. Practice like in a match situation. And the funny thing with my dad, talking about perfect practice, is that I'm one of 3 boys. So we grew up at home playing all sorts of ball sports, breaking windows, getting into trouble, tears, because it was out. No, it wasn't. We started fighting. My dad was one of those guys that if any tears, all 3 get a hiding. No discussion. Didn't want to hear any long stories like I give now. So I'm getting an opportunity for long stories. But what he did was he had this cane, which he had one at the office and one at home. Exact replica, same weight, same flexiness. So he knew some of the parents would be a little bit upset that, because, you know, depending on the infringement at the school, you could get 1, 2, 3, and expulsion was 6. And I think my dad relished the day that there was some boy bad enough in the school to do something like smoke when you're 12 to get expelled from the school. Because then you get 6 hidings, 6 cuts, and you get expelled. I think my dad didn't get enough of those kids in his school, because whenever somebody came in for a hiding, he would kind of up the punishment to 2 and sometimes 3. But with that practice makes perfect, he would then send a boy home, having given him 3 lashes with 1 stripe. Just X stripe. So the child would go back to his mum and say, look, Mr. Rhodes hit me 3 times. And the mother would say, what are you talking about? There's just 1. There's 1 stripe. So my dad would practice. He would practice at home, like his life depended on it. It was school career, his teaching career depended on it.
So had you been here,
practice makes perfect.
So you're saying, look at the beauty of this guy. That's why I admire him so much. He's not saying that I'm thankful I was not part of the crew. He's actually saying, had I been here, I would have been able to stop Hansi Pranay.
I'm not sure if I could have stopped him, but it could have been different. You never know. So sure.
Yeah, you would have rung the alarm bell. Now, let's get a move on. I know there are some questions that are going to be coming from there, but I have to ask 2 or 3 and then we'll leave the floor open. Let's ask you your love for India. You've named your daughter India Rhodes. You've just finished a 2-month vacation and I love the pictures that you've posted. What's it that connects you to this country?
I mean, it's, even though I'm no longer coaching and not doing much television commentary work, you know, there is a passion for cricket in me that is never going to be released ever. It doesn't, and you know, that's the easy part. The first association in India is obviously that. My wife and I, we've been together now for just over 5 years, and she was a yoga teacher and very spiritual. And so for me, my connection with India, as a cricket player, you kind of arrive, you get to the hotel, the cricket ground, the airport, and that's all you see. And as a fielding coach, I mean, I could be the sort of national newspaper, because I have been to Lucknow, to northeast, to Bengal, to down south, to Mangalore, so all over Karnataka, Kovalong Point in Tamil Nadu, and even up to close to Pakistan. I snowboard in Kashmir. So, you know, I could talk about it. There's nothing else to talk about. I could talk about Pakistan if I had to. But I've been all over India, and I've made it, you know, I get on the infield. So Make in India for me is very important. I have a baby Make in India. And I took it to heart. But there's not the reason. I mean, if you see my wife, you'll understand why I Make in India, or I practice Make in India as often as possible.
Twice already.
Very attractive lady.
Twice already.
Anyway, sorry, I'm blushing. But for me, you know, she and I both decided for different reasons why we were going to name India, India. And for her, obviously, as a yoga teacher and somebody who's always wanted to come to India and never had. I mean, we've had the second child together, born in India as well. The last IPL, 2017, Nathan. So we have 2 kids born in Mumbai. So the reason why we called India, India, for her was a real spiritual connection with the country. I mean, we're not blinded by the fact that there are real issues in India that need to be addressed. We're a third world economy. We have massive issues in South Africa, you know, so we're very aware of the fact that it's not all just through rose-tinted glasses. But for me, every time, and I get out as much as possible, so on a bicycle, on a motorbike, on 2 wheels as often as I can, because I have a death wish probably, when you ride a bike here. Although the traffic just doesn't move, so you're actually safer on 2 wheels. At least you can get somewhere. So for me, when I walk out of the hotel in Mumbai, 9 years of coaching with Mumbai Indians, every day that I get out the hotel door and I turn right, whether it's on a bike or on my feet, something new or different is there every single day. Every single day. And I think that the problem for me as an ex-cricket player, or someone who's still remembered well in India, is that I have no expectation. You know, people come to India and they have this expectation, they're often disappointed. Because it wasn't quite what they were expecting or thinking, or they didn't like the smell here, or didn't like the sight of that, or these kids at the window were very disturbing. So I have no expectation still of what I'm going to see today when I walk out of the door. I think that was the key for me, was that you know, you often hear about coaches and mentors talking about seize the day. And for me it was a case of, well, that's pretty much trying to force the situation into what I want to happen. Whereas if you go with the outlook of, let's embrace the day, I mean, Carpe Diem, I was a big fan of Robin Williams and Dead Poets Society, yes. A movie that I really loved, and he was on about Carpe Diem. But when you're seizing the day, you're trying to bend it, what is happening, and actually what needs to happen. Yeah. You're trying to make it into your environment or fit your circumstances. So for me, it was a case of India, as my daughter, no matter what people's expectations are of me and you and I as a child of mine, right. I have no expectation. Every day that you go out, you just go out and embrace that day to its fullest. So.
And you do that, and so right. Every day then becomes a surprise, because you're actually bending yourself to that. Now, I think we've got a lot of
surprise is here. We've got about 10 questions.
10 questions, so...
Choose your top 3, and then Jonty and Anand choose the top 1.
Okay.
The best one.
He chooses.
Yeah, he chooses.
Yeah. I saw what happened to the minister when he left. About 10 people hit him because they didn't choose his question.
Well, there are 3 questions that, actually all of these questions, Saurav Tyagi, Tanmay Arora, Samita Chaudhary, Abhishek Sharma, Laj Salam, Surabhi Gupta, Janvi Devurkar, Akshay Kulkarni, Janvi again, and Sandeep Pillai. Your questions, I don't know if I read all of them out, but thank you for putting these questions out. I think the best question that you get to pick out of these 3 that I ask you, and that person wins something. I don't know how much, but they do get something. If not, you can come up on the stage and you'll get a selfie with Jonty Rhodes. Okay, for you, Saurav Tyagi asks you, who has been the best Indian fielder of all time? How would you rate? Who would you rate as the best Indian fielder?
Yeah, it's interesting because for a long time, you know, I was rated the #1 fielder in the world, but there was no #2 or #3. So it's easy. It's easy to be #1. It's easy to be #1 in a pool of 1. So there's no other contest, whereas now what's happened, and I mean, there was a fielding revolution, and I don't think it was just what I was doing. Cricket has become a business, and every aspect, people have identified that every element of the game needs to be worked on. So when I look at Indian fielding, and for a long time, you know, Azhar in the gully was pretty sharp, good hands. Sachin had very steady hands under any ball, he was consistent. But Mohammad Kaif was the only guy that was kind of speed around the field and agility. And then you had Yuvraj.
Yeah, Yuvraj.
And the crazy thing, you had Harbhajan Singh as like the 3rd best fielder in India. And Those are scary. I mean, I love Budgie. Budgie and I have come a long way. You know, and from my first year with Mumbai Indians, it's been an interesting journey, and I love him because he supplies the best mangoes in India. Those are mangoes. Anybody needs mangoes, just hook up with Budgie. He's an incredible supplier of mangoes, and my kids love mangoes, especially India. I don't know why. Anyway, so these three guys kind of stood out, but now this new generation of fielders are incredible. You know, so you've got athletes coming into the fore. My only concern is they're not playing other sports, man. This Khelo India is so important because cricket, sure, it takes the lion's share of time on television, yes, time in all media, sponsorship, awareness, spectatorship. But all the other sports, my fielding prowess is because I was a hockey player, football player, tennis player. It all combined to making me the fielder that I am. So the long journey. Suresh Raina, I don't know what he does, that guy, man. He's incredible. You know, Jadeja hits the stumps every time. He's really fast. He almost doesn't have to dive, Jadeja, because he is so quick over the ground. And he's got a deadly, deadly eye and deadly throw at the stumps. But Suresh Raina, when I watch him, I mean, I could watch him. I used to watch A.B. de Villiers as a fielding coach, you know, with the same admiration. These guys just do incredible stuff in the field. So Suresh reminds me of myself as a younger player. I know time's up, but the amazing thing is that I had this philosophy is that if you don't go, you'll never know. So too many guys stand there and let the ball go past them. Whereas I'm diving for the ball, my teammates criticize me and say, Jonty, that's a TV dive. You just dive because of TV, then you start bleeding, and your mother can say what a wonderful guy you are. And basically the guy said, Jonty, stop diving because you're showing off. So Suresh, I was diving for the ball because you never know. If you dive into the wicket, some guy takes a picture. If you dive for the ball, you can catch it in the end of your fingers. Some photographer takes a great picture. Suresh Raina is not worried about the camera, but he's not worried about, is he going to catch it or isn't he? He goes for the ball. If he catches it or stops it, amazing. If he misses it, that's all cool. Too many guys stand there and think afterwards, I wonder if I could have stopped that. Suresh Raina for me, best in India.
Why don't you just pick up the phone and tell him to lose some weight? Because Kohli is not having him in the team because he's overweight. Is that true?
Well, he's lost so much weight. I mean, I follow him on Twitter and all his videos are team training. So it's good to see him back in good shape.
Okay, I've got two questions and I know I'll wind up. Are you guys okay if I take another 5 minutes to take these two?
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
All right, okay. I thought she was standing there to tell me, get up.
No, I'm just the class monitor, that's all.
All right, class monitor, all right. We ignore the class monitor, even though you're in my line of sight for the moment. Okay, the question is, if you had to give advice to Virat Kohli on his leadership skills, what would it be? This is Sandeep Pillai who's asked this question.
I think the key there, obviously, is none of us know what he is going through as the captain of India. There are not many people who've done that successfully. Dhoni was the first guy who I think had a successful run. And the crazy thing is he was considered to be a lucky captain, Dhoni. I mean, it was real skill. And if you look at him, he's always got a plan. You know, so calm under pressure, and every time there was every time a batsman came to the crease, there was a bowling change, a fielding, before the ball got hit. Too many captains, the ball goes there, they put a fielder. Ball goes there, put a fielder. Dhoni always had a plan. Kohli, for me, he's very pumped up, very aggressive. He's got to be true to himself, that's one. And if that means he's that fiery character, that's okay. Because you do have to, because in the heat of the battle, when you're under pressure, your true inner self is always going to shine or show itself. So if you're trying to be somebody else, it'll be fine for a while until you really put to the test. So that my only concern with that fire and brimstone is that when your team is doing well, you can pump fists and you can tell the guy to go and have a nice cold shower in the nicest possible way. But when the team isn't doing well, where is that pent-up sort of fury and passion? Where is that directed? So that's my only concern. So he needs to have an outlet to kind of release that. He wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yes, he does.
He has to be consistent though. So if that works for him, it has to work in the good and the bad. As long as all that passion and fire is directed at himself, if the team isn't doing very well.
Right. Now, two good questions, but I'm going to pick the... Abhishek, I'm going to skip your question, and I'm going to take this. Ask more. Okay. All right. Are you guys enjoying this session? Because the front row is. All right, the backbenchers. Jonty Rhodes, put your hands together for him, please. This is fantastic, isn't it? You can go on and on. All right. So, Abhishek, I'm going to slip your question in too. But after this, do you miss the moment? This is Akshay Kulkarni who's asked this question. Do you miss the moment when the ball is in the air while you wait for it to fall in your hands? is there a substitute to that feeling outside cricket in real life?
Well, no, lights. Very important lights. Okay, yeah. Not outside cricket, so outside playing cricket. Now, when you're a fielding coach, and India has just won the World Cup in 2011. Gary Kirsten has won the World Cup for India in 2011. And the first game that the Mumbai Indians play in the IPL, which, I mean, the guys have gone around the country collecting cars and houses and property and states, I think. So they come back the day before the IPL starts, day one. I mean, I've never met half the guys in my team. Munaf Patel. He comes and joins Mumbai Indians. So you talk about the satisfaction when the ball goes up in the air and you either stand under it and you catch it, or you take a dive and catch it, a dive and you catch it. The most satisfying moment when the ball goes up in the sky, away from me actually being under it, is when Munaf Patel catches it. So, and the crazy thing, I hate to tell you.
And now you have Jasprit Bumrah, don't you? You got Jasprit Bumrah then, after Munaf Patel.
He was a guy that, it was incredible, because the first time, so long story, she's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, the Indian fielders, other than Cave, the three guys I mentioned, run around the boundary, stop the ball with a foot. So I said to Munaf, the guys, I mean, the umpires have paid quite a bit of money to have you in the team. I have one rule, only one rule, just ek rule, just one, is that if you're not going to dive for the ball, don't put a foot there. Because if you stand on it, and let's face it, Munaf's 6'3", he's not the most agile and athletic guy. If he puts a foot on the ball, trying to stop it, he's going to break an ankle. I said, that's your IPL. The first game, the ball went around, and I just met him the day of the game, literally. And I said to Munaf, there's only one rule. If you're not going to dive, don't put a foot, just leave it. But just remember, when you're bowling the next over, and some fool doesn't dive on the boundary, and you get all angry, don't look at me, the fielding coach, look at yourself. So, amazing thing. Because my philosophy as a fielding coach was just save me one run. Everything's ek run, because that's all I can speak in India. It's like a full total ek, one run. Because most of the games in T20 come down to the last over, and usually the last ball. So if each guy saved me 11, including the wicketkeeper, he saved me one run. So if I've got 11 runs to play with, that's often the margin. So the next game, Munaf, after putting his foot down, we played in Rajasthan against the Royals, when they were still playing. And Munaf dived for a ball. And when that body hits the ground, it takes a long time to get up. But he dived. So it should have been one, but they ran 3. But the ball didn't go over the boundary. The ball didn't go over the boundary. So Munaf eventually gets himself off the ground, he gets the ball, he throws it in, and he stands there like this and going, Coach! Ek run! Save! They ran 3. It should have been 1, but he saved his 1 run. He was so proud. And that IPL, every time the ball went up in the sky, I went, Munaf is underneath it. And he caught the most catches of any Mumbai Indians player that whole tournament. Very grateful for Munaf. Sorry, long stories.
No, we're enjoying it. They're enjoying it. Okay, this is the last question. Mr. Rhodes, the world is becoming a dangerous place day by day. Do you think cricket can make a difference in establishing the peace? Can cricket become a vehicle for peace? We played a friendship series in 2004 and we are doing it even now. Once again, Pakistan, but the larger question.
Well, I think we've got to look beyond India-Pakistan issues, because you really can't separate politics from sport. In South Africa we have very different issues, but similar. It's politics. And you can't escape it. The ideal scenario, no politics in sports, because you should just have the best people playing against each other when they need to play against each other. And for me, the politics, and can sport make a difference in various parts of the world? I just think of the Afghanistan team, where they've come from. You know, you hear some of those guys, because they hardly speak any English, so communication is a bit of an issue, but I've coached a few of the associate member teams, you know, for a tournament to help them out with Kenya, with Namibia. So in Africa, I've been involved with some of the teams there. And I can see how the Afghanistan team grown in stature. I mean, hard to believe they can grow in stature when they're this short at the crease, when they're batting and just throwing the bats and everything. but grown in stature just emotionally because of where they've come from and what they have achieved as players. And what it's doing in the region is incredible. So I think from that point of view, we sometimes we forget the bigger picture. We look at the immediate issues and the issues that are pertinent to us, which, you know, obviously Pakistan is a very big part. Quota systems in South Africa is a big topic in sports in South Africa. And we always say we need to separate the politics. But if you think of what, you know, how sport can make a difference in those sort of places like Afghanistan, Nepal, after, you know, what Kathmandu experienced 4 or 5 years ago. There are many places around the world that cricket is one way, and many other sports are doing the same thing, that they can make a difference in those communities, in those countries. So, you know, I think too often we forget the bigger picture. We just kind of focus on what's affecting us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonty Rhodes. I've got plenty more questions to ask, but I think I'll be unfair to the rest, so I'm going to wind it up here. Please, big round of applause for this man. Fantastic.
Thank you.
I think you've got... Do you have to pick the best question?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What was your favorite question, Jonty?
Okay, so firstly, I just Jaideep, Gandhi, and the rest of the crew the team that brought me here. Jaideep, thank you. Good to see you this morning. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't very polite. He was taking my conversation and my focus. But just for having me here at Goa Fest, I've always. Politicians and ex-cricket players, never give them the microphone because they never give it back. So
okay, I'll take it back.
You've got to take us off.
They're taking all the commentating jobs. But okay, which is the best question?
Thank you for having me. And I think the last one for me is, that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be relevant. So the reason why I've retired from cricket, from coaching, from commentary, is that I still, you know, not just from a sporting point of view, but I want to get into wellness, corporate wellness especially in India. So I want to be relevant. When I'm a fielding coach, I'm relevant. You know, for 11 guys on the field, I still think all of us can make that one run worth of a difference in the communities that we found ourselves. So the last question for me about sport.
Abhishek Sharma, come on up.
Welcome, Abhishek. Congratulations. Thank you for asking the question.
You got your phone with you? You got your phone with you? You don't have your phone with you. Too bad, mate. I told you, you could have gotten that selfie.
No, you know what? Abhishek has a strategy. What he's going to do is ask you to take the picture, then take your number, or ask Jonty to take the picture, or take his number after the show.
Great, there you go. You got your phone.
Oh, well, there you go. Congratulations.
Yes.
Do you want to put your hands
You get this
together,
from him and you get your selfie, Abhishek.
For Anand, Jonty, and Abhishek.
Yeah, go ahead. Kanun kya tumhe ghuma to do, bhai.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Jonty,
well done. Congratulations.
Show the honors. This is for you.
Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonty Rhodes once again. Please give him a rousing applause. He's been fantastic, hasn't he? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to request Jonty to kindly remain on stage. Mr. Rhodes.